Jesus. Sometimes you find yourself in places you wish you could be as far away from as possible. This was one of those moments. On June 6th, I found myself on a ridgeline in bad weather, exactly the situation I'd been dreading for months, and something I had done my best to avoid. I was on the Continental Divide Trail at mile 886 in Colorado. I had just finished the first snow-covered section from Cumbres Pass to Wolf Creek Pass. Ahead of me lay 117 miles of equally snowy terrain, steep traverses, post-holding and uncertain footing. All before reaching Spring Creek Pass, the next road accessible by car. We were frantically trying to make the calculations work. On the last section we had averaged about 12.5 miles per day. If we didn't pick up the pace, it would mean more than 9 days on this upcoming stretch. Our packs couldn't hold that much food, and even if they could, hauling that kind of weight over sketchy terrain was far from appealing. Of course, there was the option to take the brown line, the Creed cutoff, which descended to lower elevations where the snow had melted further. It would shorten the red line by about 80 miles, with the town of Creed right along the way. But if you've been following this series, you probably already know which one I would choose. Well, at long last we started to collect ourselves, prepare and brace for what was to come. I sewed up some gear I had ripped on the last stretch. We cleaned up, packed and squeezed in every bit of food we could carry.
Oh!
Man, it's not too bad.
It doesn't? No. That's good.
Yeah.
Then it was time to head out and catch a hitch to the trail.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. We're having a nice little climb here, and we also had a beer from the guy who gave us a ride. What was the guy's name again?
Oh gosh, I forgot, but it was an IPA that we had.
Yeah, it was an IPA, yeah.
Very thick IPA.
And slightly drunk now. But we're just gonna do like 3 miles and then have a nice, hopefully dry campsite. And get a nice early, crispy start tomorrow.
The good weather didn't last long, and soon we found ourselves in the midst of the afternoon storm clouds. At least we managed to find a few small dry spots where we could squeeze down our tents for the night. From here, the timer started. We had managed to pack 6 full days of food, accounting for the increased calories we would burn on these long snowy days. That meant we would have to average 19-mile days from this campsite just to reach Spring Creek Pass before our food ran out. The first big challenge of this section of trail was the unnamed switchback peak at mile 886. A triangular plateau with a cliff band at the top blocked access to the main ridge, forcing us onto a steep traverse. The trail switchbacks up the east side, which we expected to be steep and snow-covered. Then it winds around to the west side where it traverses back below the cliff band. There was no way around the incline. The only question was how much snow would still remain on the steep traverses. I usually try to find alternate routes around obstacles. However, for this one, I couldn't find any other viable options.
Yeah, we're going up on the ridge over there. We can see some dry trail that should be really nice to get up on the ridge. So I think we might actually be lucky with some of these parts where we'll actually have some dry trail when we're on the south side.
Not the best glacier I've seen, but nice.
Nice, you were moving there for a second.
That was really I was gonna take a picture of that shit too. Let everybody know what we had to do every single day.
To make at least 19 miles, we had to get past the switchback peak and a couple of more miles beyond that. The margins were slim, and this would be our first real test of jumping from 12.5 miles a day to 19. It wouldn't be easy, but we did have some room to push harder than we had on the last stretch. Between Cumbres and Wolf Creek, we'd been hiking roughly 10 to 12 hours per day. But if we took full advantage of alpine start when the snow was still firm and kept moving in the afternoon until we physically couldn't take another step, we could probably stretch that to about 15 to 16 hours of hiking in a day.
Cheers. Good climb. Not too bad.
Dude, that was nice. We got her done.
When we reached the Brown Line junction, we said goodbye to Wildcard. She only had about a month left to hike and decided she did not need to keep pushing the red line anymore. Instead, she wanted to cover as much ground as she could with the time she had left. So Pace and I continued alone towards the switchback peak. Before the CDT, I was never really afraid of thunder. But when you're out there above 3,000 meters, it suddenly feels like if there was ever a moment in my life I'd get struck by lightning, this would be it. We had to make a decision, keep going or stop early and seek shelter. We could have camped before the final climb, but that would have given us a 12-mile day, putting us 7 miles behind schedule, and falling that far behind this early wasn't a great option. So we kept climbing, hoping, with everything we had, that the storm stayed on the horizon.
We're closing into the first big obstacle we have for this red line trip. Oh, it's so post-holy. We're just on the edge of the thunderstorm, but it looks good where we're going up, so hopefully we'll be able to beat the weather. The trail switchbacks up that steep section to the right, basically just straight up the cliff. I don't think the gradient does it justice on the camera, but it is pretty steep. I'm thinking we're gonna do an alternate and go on the left side and then follow the ridge up. That should be a little bit easier, hopefully. We're almost at the top of the ridge now, and the thunder seems far away. So that's nice. We had a little bit of a drizzle, but nothing bad. So now it's just cross our fingers and hope it's dry on the other side. So we're near the top now, and there is some snow over there, but from here it doesn't look so bad. But we have a long ridge walk left and the weather kind of blew in, so I'm not super happy with this. But yeah, we're up here now, so just gotta try to get down on the other side as fast as possible. We managed to get over the snow a bit. thunder is still going on, and we just need to get over this little hill here, and then the trail descends down, and we're gonna find some camp and hopefully a dry spot. Dry spot?
Dry spot.
Jesus.
It was a sobering reminder. In the mountains, the sky can turn in a heartbeat, and when it does, you don't want to be the highest point. We managed to get over the ridge in the nick of time, pushing our way through snow, hail and rain before collapsing into camp near Piedra Pass.
This morning has been tough. So yesterday we pushed down to get to the pass, Piedra Pass, and it started to snow and rain, and the thunder was all around us, but we managed to get there and find 2 small dry spots where we pitched our tents, and everything was just soaking wet. But yeah, this morning has been just horrendous. The post holing has been absolutely, I don't know what to say. It's just like you sink down to your waist sometimes. Yeah, it's like nothing really froze yesterday. Only like the top layer of new snow. And I got kind of hungry this morning also, and yeah, it was just a big struggle. We haven't been able to find water. There was actually some water just in the beginning of the day, but didn't pick up any then, and we haven't seen anything since. It's just like everything is covered in snow up here. Yeah, I'm kind of dehydrated, I think, so I really need to find water as soon as we can, but we're gonna keep traversing on the north side, which is never a good sign. Yeah, we'll have to see. It's not easy. Definitely not easy.
Yeah, it wasn't exactly easy going. And then, half a mile after breakfast, we found running water, which stung a little, considering we just spent the morning desperately melting snow in our pots on the other side of the hill. Still, we filled up and kept moving. But it wasn't just the time constraint that stressed us. The next big obstacle on this stretch was closing in. Knife Edge. The name alone is enough to give you an idea of what to expect. It's a peak along the divide known for its sharp ridgeline stretching down to the east. The trail traverses from the south side of the edge around to the north, where the inclines hit 35 to 45 degrees. Slopes above 30 degrees are increasingly difficult to self-arrest, especially on the wet, soft snow that we had been slogging through all day. And the margin for error? There wasn't one. The slope ended in a vertical drop-off, leaving no room for second chances. So we kept discussing our options amid the growing frustration of post-holing and slow progress.
We've done 8.8 miles and it's 10 to 3. I don't know if I ever had a day that has been this tough. This is just, I don't know. I don't like this. Dry trail. I couldn't be happier. Do I sound happy? I think I'm just exhausted.
Every empty bed in every city I've been. I sit and contemplate all the moments you said.
All right, we're gonna dip down here, drop off the trail, and follow the ridge down into this big valley. It's a big drop down because trail seems a little bit sketchy around Knife's Edge, and then before that there's also a traverse, and after that there's another traverse. Maybe there was 2 traverses, I'm losing count. But yeah.
That's right. Before starting this section, I had as usual looked for alternate routes and bypasses. I had identified a small side ridge at mile 900.2 that drops off the main ridge to the west. If we could follow it down and then traverse through the forest below the Continental Divide, we could connect to the Williams Fork Lake Trail, and from there we could climb back up to the divide on the other side. It was 2.2 miles shorter than the official trail and avoided the knife edge traverse entirely. And since it was just after 5 in the afternoon with 7 miles to stay on schedule, it seemed like the only sensible option. Like I've explained in previous episodes though, it's always hard for me to choose a route that feels like a shortcut. I feel like I'm cheating the trail, like I'm not giving it my full effort. And partly, I think it's true about this one. But at the same time, I was happy with the alternate. We avoided significant risk with the traverse, and the route itself was exciting. I love making up a route on a map and then going out there to see if you can actually complete it.
Are you just too old? Or do you only carry constant in the duo? I stand for you. Are you just too old? Or do you only carry constant in the duo? I stand for you.
After the previous day, we'd fallen behind schedule, even with the shortcut. We knew we didn't have much margin left to play with, so today had to be a big one. At least 19 miles. The climb back up to the Continental Divide was a good one. Once again we had frozen snow under our feet, and it was such a relief after the struggles of the day before. It gave a huge boost to our motivation. The sun began to break through as we rose above the tree line and carefully started up the final steep slope towards the pass leading into the next valley. And the views were magnificent.
Are you just too old? Or do you only carry constant in the duo? I stand for you. Are you just too old? Or do you only carry constant in the duo? I stand for you. Constant in the duo.
We're almost at the top of this pass. That will put us back on the CDT. I actually think we crossed the trail somewhere here in the snow, but yeah, back on the CDT, and we started pretty early this morning at like maybe 4:15 or something like that. And the snow is magical today. It's been great, and
Very nice.
but yeah, looking forward to the downhill.
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
From the top we could see the trail stretching across the valley on the opposite side. Well, not the trail itself, of course. It was buried under a deep layer of snow. But we weren't discouraged. We knew we still had a couple of good hours before the snow would start softening up. So we just enjoyed the cold morning and the feeling of being in this incredible landscape.
Trail.
Pretty damn nice views. I think this is the highest point of the day. It's been not too bad. We've had some dry trail, contrary to yesterday, which was horrific compared to this. Thank God for whoever set the trail on this side of the valley. That person deserves a prize. I'm done with snow.
Motivation had slowly been dropping as the snow turned to slush, but the end of the day was absolutely perfect. Walking those miles of dry trail felt amazing. As evening settled in, we crossed a wide, snow-free meadow and enjoyed the re-emergence of life all around us. With the help of dry trail, we managed to cover 20.9 miles that day, making up some of the distance we'd lost the day before. We were now 58.1 miles into the section, almost halfway to Spring Creek Pass. If nothing unexpected came our way, we could soon start counting down the miles to safety. With another early start, we headed out for the 4th full day of the stretch, aiming for another 20-mile-plus day. The morning was spectacular once again. We reached the top of the first climb, bathed in orange-red glow of the rising sun, and even had some dry trail on the downhill on the other side to go with it.
These days have been such contrast to each other. The day before yesterday, our big post-holing day was just absolutely miserable. I just hated life the whole day, pretty much. Yeah, I did not have fun that day, for sure. And then yesterday was really nice. The frozen morning was absolutely beautiful, and then the trail in the end of the day and our campsite was just like so amazing. And today has been really good also. We have been pushing pretty hard to get as far as possible before the post-holing begins. I think we started at like 4:20, but yeah, we've been pushing pretty good. We're on more than 10 miles now, I think, so that's really good. We're gonna try to walk to maybe 11, I think 10, 11. That's when the snow is just giving up. Yeah, good progress so far. Hopefully we'll be able to do close to 20 miles today. We'll see how the snow turns out, but yeah.
The strategy seemed to be working, 10 by 10. 10 miles before 10 o'clock. That gave us around 10 to 12 hours to cover the rest of the distance through the afternoon slush. And it really did become slushy. It was a day full of signs of the coming spring, maybe the first real peak of the melt. The smell of mud and old thawed leaves filled the air, and even though it made hiking more difficult, it somehow boosted our motivation. We could finally start to see the world behind the snow. Even with 1,500 meters of elevation gain and very little dry trail, we made good time. Before long, we found ourselves at the top of the last pass of the day.
Hunchback Pass. Oh man, the last bit was a bit post-holy, but all in all, I guess not too bad. And last climb of the day, so that feels really nice. Oh, it's good to be at top.
Oh, that was great.
We decided to stop a little earlier than planned, when we came across the nicest snow-free campsite at the bottom of the valley. We weren't keen on climbing back up into the snow, and we felt so good about the progress over the past 2 days that we weren't worried about losing a bit of distance. Even though we were still slightly behind schedule, it felt like we could easily make it up later. Whatever could go wrong? Well, that would soon become painfully obvious. Day 5 started out just like the others, with a magnificent sunrise of a frozen landscape. I know I'm repeating myself here, but it can't be overstated how much of a difference it makes to walk on frozen snow. And when you add the most beautiful mountain landscape in the glow of sunrise, well, it's hard to beat that. Like I said the day before, this hike was full of contrasts. The struggle and the beauty. The balance is what makes it all so memorable. In fact, I think that's true for most of the CDT. It's not just the snow sections that test you. The whole trail is a physical and mental challenge, and it's those moments in between, the quiet, glowing sunrises, that makes it all come together. But trouble wasn't far away. Both Pace and I had started feeling a growing pain in our ankles throughout the day. While mine was still manageable, Pace was struggling and starting to fall behind. We took a break when we came upon a frozen lake where he could dip his feet to ease the inflammation.
Pace and me have both been struggling a little bit with our heels. Our shoes are too tight when we are using the seal skins. I'm actually using double socks, both seal skins and the Darn Toughs under, so the shoes become kind of tight. And I had this problem in Sarek 2021, and that was very painful. So I'm trying to be very careful not to let it go out of hand. But I tried to just remove my insole actually, and that seems to help a little bit. It's not super nice to walk without your insole, but it seems to relieve the pain a little bit, and I still want to keep my double socks. So we'll see. If it doesn't get better, I'm probably gonna just hike in my Darn Toughs also. And it's always my left foot also. I think my left foot is a bit bigger than my right foot. So yeah.
Some parts of this section offered dry trail. However, it was so broken up with slushy snow and post holes that it didn't offer much relief. The climbs were still brutal, and at that altitude, every step left us gasping for air, every meter of elevation a struggle. I soon noticed Pace falling behind again, his heels starting to ache once more. Time was slipping away from us. The afternoon fading, the sun already dipping low. We knew things couldn't go on like this. So at mile 960, 6 miles short of our goal, we decided to stop, rest up, and hope his heel would feel better by the morning. With 22.7 miles left to the road, we decided to wake up as early as humanly possible and make one final push into Spring Creek Pass. The alarm went off at 2:30 and we were moving shortly after. The injury wasn't just causing physical pain, it was wearing on us mentally. We didn't know what would happen after this. Could we heal up, or would this be the one setback that sent us home? All our hope was set on Lake City. If we could just make it there, we might have a chance to recover.
First time above 4,000 meters, so that's pretty nice. And also the high point of the Colorado Trail apparently. Yeah, we've had 2 big climbs today already. We started out at 3:15 this morning, and we're trying to push to Lake City. We have a 22.5 from where we camped last night. My heel was feeling a little bit this morning. Pace is having some problems though with his, both yesterday and this morning also. It's feeling bad, especially in the uphill, so he has to go a little bit slower, which is unfortunate, but hopefully now it's gonna be less uphill, and then yeah, we'll try to push it to Lake City and we can rest up. It's gonna be so nice to get to town.
As we left the high point and hiked on, we could finally see it. Miles of dry trail stretching out ahead of us. In that moment, we knew it was gonna be fine. We would make it.
I can take the pain, but I can't take all the hatred. Laziness of mine and simplest of thoughts. Are you just too old, or do you need Gary? Time stands in a duel, and I stand for you.
We stumbled out at the trailhead of Spring Creek Pass. I could hardly believe it. It was finally over.
Now you're pouring out your hate in every difference you found. You won't even listen to reason at all.
Oh yeah.
You're gonna have the ice ankle tonight.
Far be it from me, but you would speak of love while tying one's hand.
The hardest part of Colorado was over. We had navigated the traverses, the post-holing, the long days to hike short distances. Of course, there was still a lot of this ahead of us. But I felt increasingly confident that we could do this, and more dry trail would start mixing in between the post-holing. We just needed to take care of our injuries now, regain some of our strength, raise our posture, look forward, and head out there again for the next section of the trail.
Now lean and use your weight. That's what a shoulder's made for. Carry all the dead and children from here. Curses on the men and the greed that seems to plague them. I can't raise my hand